Thanks for tuning in to our Best Philadelphia 2024 Watch Tours. You're about to watch panel number 3, Work Mindset, a look into workforce development. Enjoy.
All right, so let's hop in for our final panel. For our opening, again, I'll ask that all of you could just introduce yourselves and your organization. But to get things kicked off, what initiatives can organizations implement to cultivate a dynamic and resilient workforce today? If you want to also define that, feel free. But also, what are some of the mistakes that could be made along the way? Paul, I'll throw it to you for, actually, Chris, you already raised your hand.
Sure. I'm Chris Hegarty. I'm a principal at CliftonLarsonAllen. We're a professional services firm providing accounting and tax services, wealth advisory services, other consulting services to clients across the country. We have about 130 offices across the country, and all of our resources are really U.S. based. And we have a network of international firms we work with, provide services to international services to clients. I'm from a very traditional accounting background. I think people understand your impressions of accountants are we're bean counters and we're number crunchers, and that's where we've come up that way. And our focus for the last mostly in the profession has been on technical abilities and getting numbers right and getting them accurate. And my father was an accountant for 40 years. I don't think anyone ever asked Jim Hegarty how he felt. And the first 20 years of my career, nobody asked Chris Hegarty how he felt. But I think it's a big mistake now to not be finding out from your people how do they feel and what engages them, because the workforce is very different than it was. We have at least 5 generations in the workforce, and strategies that worked for me or for my father are not working for the younger people today. So we did spend a lot of time focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the last couple of years, and we've developed a lot of programs around virtual belonging to make sure people felt like they belonged in the firm. And really our focus has become on belonging and inclusion. And we've reached out to people and asked them how they feel, what's important to them, because we want them to be engaged here at CLA, because the longer they stay here, it reduces our risks, it serves our clients well, and we can comfortably grow. So it'd be a big mistake not to ask people how they feel.
Great, thank you, Chris. Michael, if I could throw it to you.
Hello, Mike Bettinger, Director of Government and External Relations for Montgomery County Community College. We are a 2-year school with 2 campuses, one in Bluebell, one in Pottstown. We have an enrollment of just under 14,000, and we are celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. As far as, what was the term you used, the workforce?
Dynamic and resilient.
Dynamic and resilient. I hate to be repetitive, but I think it's very important to listen to what your workforce is saying, what your employees are saying. At Monco, we do strategic workforce plan, and we're constantly surveying our employees for what they want, what they think is not working, what they think is working. We're doing compensation studies, but it's not always dollars and cents. It could be something as simple as a few extra days off during the year. I'll give an example. For our spring break, we only had 2 days off of our workforce. We made a decision, just make it the whole week. Something very simple. It was extremely popular. Extremely popular. Go figure, someone would want the entire week off instead of just 2 days. So just little tweaks can go a long way.
I'm going to get my resume over to you guys if you're giving the whole week off.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Paul Sharkey. I serve as Executive Director for UnitedHealthcare's commercial business here in Pennsylvania and Delaware. For those of you who may not know, UnitedHealthcare organization really committed on helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone. So in terms of what we can do to make a workforce here locally more resilient, what these guys said, right? Big ditto to them. But also, I think one of the big things is really giving employees a voice. So at your organizations, if you don't have a robust employee engagement committee and giving employees the opportunity to share in a safe space what they like about the company, what things they'd like to see improve in the company, and also have leaders that are willing to receive that feedback and act on it, that's probably a miss and something you would want to take away. So I think employee engagement committee. But then one of the other things I would say is in terms of resiliency is getting comfortable with failure, right? At UnitedHealthcare, we say, if you're gonna fail, fail fast, right? Don't be afraid to try new things, to be innovative. We're going to talk a lot about innovation here today. And I think that that's something where everybody's so scared anymore, right? Everything has to be perfect. Perfection does not exist. Try new things, be daring. That's how you grow. That's how you become resilient.
Great, thank you all. The next question I have is for Mike. As Montgomery County Community College's leading point of contact for legislators and building relationships in the external community, what trends are you seeing that have had a significant impact on the workforce, and how can MCCC play an important role?
So as far as trends legislatively, governmentally, I'll just focus on some of the things that we're seeing on the state level. A lot happening on the state level as far as of higher education, education in general, and workforce. One of the key things we're seeing is a shift in focus towards short-term credentials and apprenticeships. For this administration, that is a significant focus. I think most have seen Governor Shapiro's first executive order as soon as he came into office was to eliminate the four-year degree requirement for, I think it was 90,000 state jobs. That's significant. And that shows what his focus is going on. At Monco, we're developing our apprenticeships, but it's maybe not the type of apprenticeship that you typically think of. When someone hears apprenticeship, a lot of times they think of some of the more blue collar, plumbing, carpentry, steam fitters, and those are all great positions. But you're seeing a focus on some more non-traditionals. We have an apprenticeship with Aon, the professional services company that we just graduated the first class last year. We just got approved for an IT apprenticeship through the state, and that's partnering with Cisco Systems and an IT apprenticeship that is part of a move towards a more diverse apprenticeship model. So I would say those are significant pieces that I'm seeing as far as a shift in the landscape.
Great, thank you, Mike. And for Chris, CPA firms across the country have felt workforce constraints, searching for new ways to attract and retain talent. How is your firm evolving to meet the growing demand for consulting services? And could that be a means to attract new, non-traditional talent into the fold?
So the accounting industry likes to measure things and count things, right? So the AICPA did a survey of its membership last year and announced that 75% of existing CPAs plan to retire in the next 15 years. So that's a really sobering statistic. And the accounting industry has a supply chain problem. We've got this group of people that are planning for retirement, and less students are coming into the challenging CPA track in college campuses. And we've always been on college campuses, right? But now where there's less students going into it, the profession itself has shot itself in the foot by saying you need to have 150 credit hours to sit for the CPA exam. So if your student has 15 credit hours a semester, that's 10 semesters. That's a 5-year program. So the university said, oh, that's great. We'll add a 5th-year master's program. But that costs another $50,000, $60,000 for the parents or the student loan. So that's very unattractive. So students say, well, I'll go finance or economics or business. I won't go the CPA track. So we're now looking and saying, well, we've got to fill the pipeline. We have to fill the profession. So we're looking not at colleges anymore. We're looking beyond the colleges at the high schools, and we're looking at the grammar schools. We're putting a lot of effort into the future business leaders of America and your junior achievements. And we developed last year, we developed our own high school internship program. That for us, for the CPA firm to say, we're going down to the high school and develop a program that those kids are going to be interested in and engaged with, was a heavy lift. We spent $1 million and we brought 60 students into 15 different offices. We're really fortunate because we picked up some resources from Hallahan High School who were looking for new positions, and they helped develop the program. And we got people from our local offices across the country to be involved and develop programs for these students to keep them engaged. They had client experiences, they had work experiences, and they even worked on our social media program to help us reach out to other students about how cool it is to be an accountant. CPA is the coolest profession around, okay?
Write it down.
You heard it here first. We've also developed CLA Academy. And the CLA Academy is a 12-week program for people who don't have the accounting background, but we're starting them, we're getting them into the workforce. We're teaching them QuickBooks, we're teaching them basics of accounting and tax preparation, and bringing those people into our workforce. And we're going to non-traditional communities because those people haven't been exposed necessarily to have an accountant. My dad was an accountant. You may have an uncle that was an accountant, but a lot of these students don't even know what you could do in the accounting degree or what kind of a stepping stone it is. You can start in accounting and you could be ending up running a university or a higher ed institution or a hospital. It leads to all kinds of opportunities. So we're educating the high schoolers and the teenagers, and this apprenticeship program is something that, again, we always had this high standards. You don't get in unless you have a 3.5 plus. You don't get in unless you're SATs. This is completely different. It's rewriting the program, starting with internships, and we'll teach you and develop you.
Great. Thank you, Chris. I'm already imagining some accountant TikTok influencers maybe getting started at CLA.
It won't be me. I promise you that.
Of course. Well, before we wrap up our last question, Paul, UnitedHealthcare has taken measures to address mental health concerns through new programs that encourage healthy behaviors like exercise, sleep, and some preventative care. How can business leaders apply some of those strategies to their teams in an authentic, organic way?
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. So yeah, mental health is so important. We all know that coming out of COVID, it really, a limelight was shown on how important mental health can be. And UnitedHealthcare recently did a study with one of our large customer groups called the Health Action Council. About 217,000 of our members were in this study. And what it showed was not only just mental health, but in terms of some of the really dramatic things in terms of social determinants of health, financial insecurity, anxiety, stress at the workplace, food deserts, like we talked about earlier. 4 in 10 children right now in that study have a parent that's actually dealing with one or more of those issues in terms of social determinants of health. Millennials, we talked about millennials being the largest part of the workforce right now. 13% of all millennials have 3 really interesting and concerning social determinant of health issues going on with them right now. So in terms of mental health, we need to focus on it, right? It's impacting our parents, our children, our employees, your employees in this room. So what can we do to be authentic? Well, it takes leadership. So many of you in this room probably have great health insurance coverage through our friends, either at Cigna or UnitedHealthcare. And really, leadership needs to step in and promote the programs that are available. So from a mental health perspective, because of what happened with COVID and the pandemic, I know at United, we've expanded our behavioral health network twofold. We've doubled it since the pandemic happened, and we're providing more access to 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week care through apps and also services like Able To, which are really helpful to help members get the care they need when they need it. But also, outside of just mental health, behavioral health, overall wellness is so important and something that I think can get overlooked. So at United, one of the things that we embed in all of our fully insured plan designs is something that is what we call UnitedHealthcare Rewards. And we're giving our members on our plans up to $1,000 a year to receive for doing healthy behaviors, getting enough sleep, exercising, getting your annual physical, being sustainable, switching over to online and digital communications instead of paper communications. All of these things can help employees and their families earn dollars to help address things like mental health and these social determinants of health, which are really concerning in the United States right now.
Great. Thank you, Paul. And for the last question of our final panel, first I want to throw over to the audience and just see, by show of hands, how many of you spend at least one day working remotely out of the work week? And with that, the last question is really, how are you as organizations trying to redefine just what talent development is today? Because you're looking at a lot less touch points of people being in the office one-on-one training or just in-person training. A lot of it is now done virtually in some sense or another. So how have you navigated that, as well as come up with new strategies and collaborations to still mentor and really grow the workforce? Chris, I'll have you lead off.
I think like many organizations, we learn not to over rely on virtual training. It doesn't work for everybody, and it certainly doesn't work in long-term training courses. We found that our younger people need little snippets of training. So we provided small pieces of training in 15 and 30-minute snippets that can be delivered to them when they want it. It's on demand. We feel very strongly in the leadership that the younger people, the people who aren't as further along in their career, need the physical presence with the leaders and need to be learning with them in order to develop. That on-the-job training is critical. And so everyone went home for a long, long time, and then people started coming back, and we're doing everything we can to encourage people to come back physically. And we've not done any kind of mandatory, you're going to work here X number of days a week. But some people, even some of the young people, say, why don't you mandate it? So then everybody will come in. So we're still struggling with how to do that. But we're leaving it up to the individual offices and individual leadership groups. And then something that works well, we highlight that to everybody else. We showcase it and let them know what's working. And we have our young advisory committee. We formed the young advisory committee in each office, who they tell the leaders, this is what we want, and this is what works for us, what doesn't work for us. And we listen to them because they're the future of our firm and the future leadership.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Mike?
So I agree that in person is certainly a necessity. I think you're right for the younger employees. I think that is pretty essential. The work from home piece is not going away. It's here to stay, no matter how often you hear companies, say we're coming back in the office, we're mandating it. People don't like to be told what to do. They got a taste of work from home, and they like it. However, and I'll say that I would say 99 of the hiring situations that I've been in, the first question is this a hybrid position? Can this be work from home? So I think being flexible is important. Not every position can be work from home. There are some positions that need to be on the ground in person 5 days a week, 100%. That's just no getting around it. There are positions that could be a hybrid model, and could very easily be 2 days remote, 3 days in the office. What we do is we do let departments determine that for themselves. They look at their employees, they look at the specific positions, and they schedule it amongst themselves. So that way it's not being dictated top down. It's almost a bottom-up strategy. And then those departments, those employees feel like they have some buy-in in the process. They're not being told, you have to be in the office 5 days a week, when you don't really have to be. You could be very productive and get your work done if you're home 1 day a week, 2 days a week. So that way they have that buy-in in that process. So, and it's not just a blanket mandate.
Great. Thank you. And Paul?
I wish more people had worked from home in Philadelphia today, because getting around the city was terrible. Like, I thought Fridays it was going to be a little lighter. So clearly people are back in the office in Philadelphia, which is
They're
great.
everywhere, Paul.
They are, yeah, right. And I think it is important that people are back in the office, right? We need our urban centers to be thriving. I love seeing how just robust and populated Philly was this afternoon. It was absolutely bustling. It was great to see. So yes, it is a combination. Work from home, not going away. But in terms of how employers have to kind of lean in on that and still provide opportunities for growth and development, it's really important. And also there's a great opportunity to do that. So for example, I was just on a mentoring call this morning. I was at my house in Winmore, Springfield Township, and I was on with one of my colleagues in Texas, right? I wouldn't have that opportunity. He was at his house in Texas. He's looking to advance his career, looking for different things he can do. And so that's the beauty of work from home. That's the beauty of being able to provide development, experiential learning, networking across organizations, because technology is our friend. But I think one of the things, like we're saying, is we have 5 generations in the workforce. You need to kind of figure out what's going to work for everyone based on where they are in their career. Folks that are more established, they might like that flexibility of more work at home, but you're right. The younger people, they're craving community at work. They're craving learning from people that actually know how to do it. So it's definitely striking a balance, but saying, you know, it's never going to be like it was, and leaning into the future.
Yeah, in that sense, I agree with Mike. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, thank you all for joining us up on stage. And if you would give a round of applause for our final panelists.